Daily market recap for February 7th, 2022. Let's go. This is Dan Max at EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is my stock, Bitcoin, gold, and silver daily market recaps. Please subscribe if you like what you see. Thank you. This is Dan Max, EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for February 7th, 2022. Let's get into it. Again, always starting on the Discord room. If you're watching these videos and not a member, we're always dropping all sorts of information, trade setups, things we like during the day, just hanging out. There's tons of people in here. There's, I don't know, about 100 people on any given point. There's 10 or 15 talking about trading, whether they're actually trading and posting, you never know. But in general, if you got questions and you're thinking about things and you want to bounce it against the wall and see who might be able to answer, if I'm around, I'll definitely take a shot at it. As you guys know, who know me well, I've got my big setup with 12 screens, and I'm always kind of watching the market in general, keeping an eye on things. But yeah, please subscribe if you like what you see. Again, I mean, we're here to be as an education tool and also live trade alerts when they pop up, when they're obvious. And again, when people say obvious, I always tell people, if you're just trading to trade, you're probably just gambling. If you actually have setups and waiting for particular levels, price action, volume action, you're actually a legitimate trader. Again, because again, the casino is always open, folks. Let's get into it. So this is the Stock Traders Almanac. Again, I always like to reference this. It's not perfect. Again, in a probability game, I always tell people, like, you can't expect perfection, but I do appreciate Jeffrey Hirsch and Christopher Mistal's 22 Stock Trader Almanac. I've been following the Stock Trader Almanac for 20 years, since I started trading. And again, it just tells you, 11 of the last 20 days down, but 9 of the last 12. It just gives you some historical perspective of what's happened in the last however many years it matters. And again, they'll put little bull for bullish days and bearish for bearish days. And there's some quotes. If you actually purchase the book, check it out. There's a ton of information. And again, just like say the Farmer's Almanac, it's pretty good at predicting things. Again, it's just another thing, another tool put on your belt and to continue working from. Oh, I apologize. Where is my yep, here we go, Bitcoin, because this is this is what I want to talk about. We did a live trade alert. If you check out the channel, it's one of the ones, the most recent as of Friday, I think it was the 4th, talked about this downtrend breaking. Bitcoin looks good. Now at this point, your stop is your entry, let it go. I really think you're probably going to get up into this 50,000 range before you even feel any real resistance. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get there by the time I'm done recording this, but in time, I would expect the $50,000 price range to hit. You broke the downtrend. Notice the volume down here. It looks like somebody was absorbing a lot of volume down here, because look at it historically versus a lot of this other action. Big blow off. Everybody who sold on this day in January 20th was wrong, because now you're above it. So keep that in mind. That to me looks like a shakeout, and bears are short-term screwed. I would look for more upside potentially. Again, do not chase the price action. Always be looking for dips. I just tell people, I'm like, if you chase, you sometimes don't get the great action. Now at times chasing works, but doing this 20 years, I just don't chase. I just don't need to. Let prices come to me. TLT, again, if you're not following on Twitter, Discord room, I talked about this today. This level where we're at really needs to hold, or you're heading down to the 136s next. I tell this to anytime you see rates going higher, just be aware that the U.S. all of a sudden has problems in the world where money comes into the bond market, meaning like Syria pops up as an issue, Iran pops up, North Korea, Russia, Ukraine. Just, it doesn't matter the actual area, but something happens and it pushes, fear goes into the bond market, and like clockwork, every single freaking time that there's some sort of potential problem, war is gonna break out, hashtag not happening. It just seems that the bond market loves that naturally, because people are worried about other parts of the world. They come to the U.S. bond market for safety. So watch this level. I'm amazed. And you read Twitter, you read stock twits, you read all these people, like everyone's convinced that war is coming. Yet every time I try to figure out what's really going on, I don't have any truth. It seems like there's a whole bunch of talk about war, but I don't see it. And I mean, when I say I don't see it, I mean, what is Russia doing? I don't know. They have troops along the border always. I mean, that doesn't really prove anything. You know, you would think if this is really happening, Russia would be provocating, shooting, launching missiles, doing something, but as of right now, they haven't. It all could change tomorrow, but it is until it's not. So again, here's another thing. The dollar should be getting bought here if there actually is going to be some global conflicts. Because right now, we're at a backside of an old downtrend, and you're at the 100-day. I've said this very clearly. Like, if the 100-day breaks on the dollar, DXY, Dixie, whatever you want to call it, UUP, you got a lot of room. And what I mean by a lot of room is, I think you could definitely retest this lower 25, 40, 200-day old green channel. Keep it in mind. The VIX, this is, if you've watched these enough, you're probably getting familiar with what I say and how it makes sense. I always leave these up here so you can kind of see what you should expect. And when the market got underway and went from 28 to almost 40, was it 39 at the high? What was the crash about? Raising interest rates? And again, now that it priced in the raising of interest rates, you can make the claim based on the TLT action in the bond market. But what happened? Now you back tested. We talked about last week, especially on Thursday and Friday, that the VIX was due to spike. The market was due to take a dip. And guess what? The market dipped, and now we're chopping. So what's the next play? At this point on the VIX, I anticipate this trend line to be touched around 20 again. Just when, if you look at the seasonality, you see the bullishness, it's very clear. You're probably going to get some sort of pop in the market soon. And also keep in mind, I've said this said this last week. I thought we'd pull back to the 200-day. Exactly. If you want to be bullish, let it break the downtrend. Break the 100-day. I know it's not ideal but wait for the trend to break with volume. That's the safest trade. Buying down here, your stop has to be the 200-day. Just keep it that simple. And then if it fails, it's going back down here. Again, the downtrend, the trend is your friend until it's not. And it's great trading location to wait for the trends to break, because when trends break, like Bitcoin, they go. It's just that simple. Same thing with the Qs. We talked about this candle not really having the volume to confirm the breakout. You got over the 200-day, nice close, but then the next day, womp, womp, womp. And that's always the biggest risk with trends, like waiting for the trends to break, is that they can fail. They can do this little, what I would consider, like a fake out. But you know what? If you watch the volume and you looked at the price action, you probably weren't that confident, so you didn't go all in. And again, if you don't understand how volume confirms breakouts, think about it. If everybody here selling was wrong, when you break a downtrend, all the shorts should get squeezed and buyers should jump in. It's just that simple. You're not getting it, so just wait till it happens. You need that volume. Volume is crucial. I always tell people volume is very crucial. Gold. We talked about this today, needing to close over the 20-day. If you noticed on up moves, it tends to hold above the 20-day. You had this little trap below and came right back and held it. And then we closed here and then failed. Again, just keep in mind, 20-day is key. If you zoom back in the past, you need to stay above it. It's just one of those moving averages for gold that's a little more important. But also be aware. We talked about the zone holding in the 167. Did videos talking about buy it, absolute buy it with a tight stop. And now you got a gap and go over the 20-day. It looks bullish. Same thing we talked about silver. And I hate to say the same thing, but I say it over and over. Once you get into this weekly no-brainer buy zone, you just buy it. And if you bought it last week, congrats. I've check the videos, check the shorts, talked about silver, like this 20 area on the SLV, and it's like $21 an ounce on the futures contract, or it's just in general, it's been good. It's, you got to buy it until it's not. And ultimately what is happening here is, it's tough to say for sure, but it looks like a big ass shakeout. You had a down move, you had a reverberation bounce, retested the lows, and now you're making higher lows and potentially higher highs. Let's see what happens here. Again, I would not be bearish silver. I think you are just holding a grenade in your hand potentially by staying short silver. There's other things to do. I honestly would be long, but that's just me. KL, we talked about this day in particular, a hammer down here after a big down. Big, I don't know, 43 to 36. For that stock, it's a pretty sizable move. This is a bottoming candle. We talked about potentially if it retests, great. None. It's just gone straight back in to this, and it's over support. That's the key here is, when you bear trap, you drop quick, it should pop right back quick. And you know what? 37s, 38 level on KL looks strong. I would just keep it that simple. Senior AG, the actual original gangster, first Majestic. Would we say buy it down here in the zone? Just buy it and have a stop. It was an absolute gift. And look what happened. You've popped back anywhere in the 9s. And now look where we're at. And I put out a trade alert today, or a Twitter. I said, you need to close over the 20-day. Not really. But guess what? It could keep rising. Just watch for the volume to increase. This candle was very interesting. You've got like this bullish action, new low shakeout, and then you're coming right back. You know, if you get over 12, this thing should hypothetically go much, much, much higher. PAAS, again, Pan American Silver, same kind of thing. Get over the 20-day. Have a nice little double bottom here. You can see it right here. Very simple. W pattern. It looks pretty good. X, you know, we talked about this buy-in on the monthly chart. We'll start on it just for the home gamers who are newer to the channel. We talked about this move. If you pretended this was an hourly chart, you would be like, oh, that's bullish. Nice up, consolidation. Well, look what happens. You hit the 20-month moving average and you started bouncing. Now, ultimately, this zone I thought would have held. You got shaken out, and now guess what? You just rebuy. I mean, that's the part of stops that's great. And so if you bought it like we did in the 19s, 18s, now you're at 22. So if you stopped out in the 20s, you bought back in the teens. I mean, it's just how trading is. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes your timing's off. That's just the nature of the game. Oh, man, this one is an absolute beast. And if you've been following us for any time, you know we identified the W bottom and VALE. Look at this son of a biscuit. I mean, it's just going. And now I think you might be able to see there's a channel forming. Let's see how we're looking here. Okay. Just be aware you might be at the channel highs. And I like to, you know, anytime the channel looks very congruent, meaning the similar angles up and down, I mean, just ride it till it's not. I mean, I think short term, the 200-day would be the first spot. But look at the son of a biscuit. You know, compare it to the Qs and the spiders, SPY, whatever. This one is just blowing it away. I mean, if you look since November, I think the Qs are down anywhere between like 6 and 8%. I mean, down 15% at this point. This stock alone from 11 to 17 is up 30%. Now, I don't know about you, but I keep telling people there is a tech war coming. Own the materials. Stop owning tech. This is your best upside. If you're at this point in the video, please review the tech war video that I did a couple months ago. I predicted this in November, saying, you know what, it looks like the market might be pulling tops in tech and bottoming in metals and miners, industrials, and it has. I mean, so example, AMD. You know, this was a great stock for many, many years, or just for a long time. And we talked about the action in November. You know, you're riding this channel high, and then it backed off, and then you made this lower high. As of right now, this is a tough one again because you can draw. I mean, these trend lines are very subjective. I mean, you could draw it like this. I mean, that's probably the more realistic one. I don't like to see that hammer. Now, again, hammer means indecision. Look what happened. It ultimately gapped up and failed, but that was on earnings. Keep in mind, earnings, dojis before don't really matter as much. Hitting the channel and dojing, if you were a bull, you just have to keep it simple, stupid. Either you're going back down to the range lows or let it break the downtrend. Again, you let the trends break with volume. It's that simple. If you can't stick to these kind of rules, I mean, you're just trading to trade. And if you want to throw darts, but just don't bet on it. Apple, we've talked about this. We've been relatively bullish on it. We broke the downtrend with volume. Talked about this area being a problem. Probably needed to backfill because it went from 138 up to 182. And then you pull back, and then we identified the 100-day. Again, if you don't believe me, go look at the live trade alerts that are posted. I'd say 90% of them are good trades, and 10 that aren't, you know what? You lose, you have stops. That's trading for you, folks. Now you're holding above the 50-day, the 20-day. I don't think there are really any issues at this point. It's just that simple. I would just let it ride. I think it's bullish over the 20-day. That's where I'd look at. Over the 20-day, that's your line in the sand. Always remember, you can rebuy it. You just can't always sell at the highs. That's the problem with trading. Like you hold, and you don't ever move. You kind of get stuck where the market's at whenever you sell. MicroStrategy, man, we've talked about this one. Stop, save this. If you actually go zoom out, you can see this area right here. I'd say under in the mid to low threes was not a bad buying opportunity, especially if you're watching Bitcoin. Again, if you're watching Bitcoin, you know that if Bitcoin bottoms, this thing has a ton of room. Keep in mind, Bitcoin 66,000, thing's at 900. Bitcoin is at 42, 43. Percentage-wise, way down. This thing should probably be up near 500, somewhere in this range. So I like the trade, but notice what happened. They couldn't get over the 20-day. That's a little bit of a bummer. I'd watch a retest of this trend line here. I would confirm that you broke the downtrend with volume. I'd be watching the low 300s, because if it does, you're good to go. You are absolutely good to go. Let's get into the next ones. Roblox. I got to do my friend Roblox. This one has been interesting because we talked about it to a lot of people. Like, hey man, we identified the highs. We talked about when it broke the downtrend. Let me zoom out. Now you got below the IPO prices. We liked it down here, stopped out, went below it, stopped out. It was really, it can be hard. And here's your W pattern. Now, if you watch the previous videos, you know I'm liking, I don't like to chase Roblox, because Roblox can be, at the high it was choppy, at the lows it can be choppy. In the mid 50s, like under 60, I think it's a good buy with a stop. But if tech gets freaking trampled, probably not. Just keep that in mind. That's why I'm like, your downside in tech is way higher than downside in materials. I mean, it depends on the material name, but just in general, I think if you look good, please start on the monthly charts. Do not just zoom into the 10-minute and try to make a trade prediction. RIVN, we talked about this hitting the 1.5 fib extension, hit this little channel, and this one's tough. I mean, again, I would say probably get over the 20-day in red, then you get bullish. At this point, I mean, it could play a game of pain. The pain game where you just don't want to deal with it. This is one, now Tesla, I talked about breaking the trend line, and here you go. You bought Tesla on the trend line today, breaking. You noticed at the open, it was up. It was 1,000% up, and then look at like the hourly chart. It's just, it didn't hold up. I mean, that's the problem. If you watch this, you saw this big engulfing candle. That's not bullish. It's just not bullish, and so it backed up. This one's tough. If you bought, good luck. I mean, again, 200 days always possible. The easy money is when we talked about it bouncing. You know, we said it probably bounced 100 points from the 200 day. 813, what did it get up to? Yeah, 940, 130 points. That was the trade. Let's see what happens. It is technically breaking the downtrend, but it didn't really act that well. So this is where trend lines, when they don't act that well, you just got to step back and have perspective. You could be wrong. You could be buying the trend breakout and it could be wrong. That's the possibility here. PENN Gaming, we've talked about this sucker. Said this trend line, said the 20-day. Hey, as long as the 20-day holds, you're okay. You're above it. This thing was in the 140s, and now it's down. You could have bought it in the third one, like the 30s and 40s. It's not a bad trade. I think it has some upside. This candle on earnings was a little ominous, but the 50-day clearly has to be closed over to be continue bullish. That's all you have to do. Just keep it simple, stupid. EXPI, we've talked about this on the monthly being a no-brainer steal here. I mean, I thought, honestly, 27s were good, but 23s, 22s, even better. Real estate, it tends to do well in the spring and in the summer. Get over the 20-day. We've said it. I mean, look at it. It's tried to peek over it. We have the same kind of ugly peeking over candles. I'm not really that confident in it at the moment. Let's just see what happens. Again, if trail your stops, have a plan. I mean, it seemed like a broken record, but that's the goal to trading. That's the key. Is like, just don't lose money. UTHR, channel high, channel low. In between, who the hell knows? Let's end it on oil names, because I'm a little nervous on it, because everyone's getting really bullish on oil at the high. I didn't like that candle yesterday, that like long wick over the old highs, or Friday, and it came back in. You need to get back over 113 just to be safe. ExxonMobil, we've talked about this. It came into like this, it's just been bullish. We've been obviously identified that. We said break the channel, look at the volume. You broke the channel with volume. The monthly is my biggest concern, but hey, you're breaking the downtrend. Now, again, doesn't mean it couldn't backtest, because this is a really big, nice move. I mean, 31 to 65 pulls back, 53 to 80. I mean, do the ABC pattern. It's getting close to completing it. Just have a stop. I mean, again, oil seems to be going higher. I mean, you got to invest in this stuff. We can't just go to electricity without some sort of transition. So, again, if you are watching this far, please get in the Discord room. Please subscribe, share with your friends, share whatever, man. Like, we're here to educate and help. And, in a trading game, the probabilities are the key. If you don't know the probabilities of what your actions are, you're just gambling. You were just gambling. Don't be a gambler. Thanks for watching. For more trading knowledge and insight, click on the videos on the right, and also join the Discord room. Link is in the description below. If you have any questions, please stop on by the Discord room and let's chat. Thank you.